Bonjour, so before I share today's teaching, so far we've talked about the three medicines, sage, and one of the teachings there was a woman's medicine, represents wisdom, strength, and clarity or vision, because it's those women that carry those things for us. I also shared a teaching on cedar, and one of the teachings that came with that was that was one of those protection medicines, that medicine we use to take away negativity in our thinking, in our bodies, and in our spirit, and to invite positiveness. Yesterday I shared a teaching on tobacco, and there was actually two teachings, and those two teachings are that when we use tobacco, it's for asking. Anytime we ask for something, we always offer that tobacco. And the second teaching was that when we give thanks, we always offer tobacco. So this morning, I thought about share that fourth sacred medicine that we use most often, which is sweetgrass. And one of the teachings that comes with this medicine is that kindness medicine. This is that medicine we use to invite that kindness in our way of thinking back into our bodies, back into our spirit. When we make a braid, we usually use 21 strands to make that braid. But when you light sweetgrass, it has that sweet, gentle aroma to it. And that's part again of why it represents that kindness. But anyways, we divide those 21 strands into 7 and 7 and 7. These first 7 over here, they represent those 7 generations behind us. Our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents, 7 generations. Who we are, what we are, is because of them. They're the ones that's made the trails that we've been walking already. The old people, they tell us today, when we pray to our ancestors for that healing, sometimes that healing takes a little longer to come. And the reason they say is because those old trails, they've been disturbed. And what they mean by that is that we put up dams. That river might have flowed this way before, but now that river flows this way, where that trail may have been before. Maybe there's a big lake there now where that trail used to be, a concrete highway, a town, a city where that trail used to be. So the old people tell us that when we pray to them, they come right away, but then they get to that obstacle. Now they got to navigate a different way to get to us. And they say that's why today sometimes it takes a little longer for that healing to come. And what we need to do is be patient. So that's what those first 7 represent. Those next 7, they represent those 7 sacred teachings that we all hear about: love, respect, honesty, humility, courage, wisdom, and truth. Again, the old people, they tell us that those teachings, they're simple. Love, simple teaching. They tell us that those teachings are powerful. Respect, a powerful teaching. They say that those teachings are very beautiful. Humility. When I can understand that I'm no better than any of you, right? But nobody else is any better than me either. Because at the end of each day, when that sun goes down, regardless the color of our skin, regardless what we believe in or don't believe in, regardless where we sit on that totem pole of life, at the end of each day, we're still all going to be human beings. And when we can accept that, when we can understand that, that's what makes those teachings powerful and beautiful. The other thing they say about those teachings is that we don't walk them every day. Love, Love. It's just a 4-letter word. But when we show that love, when we demonstrate that love, when we walk that love, that's what makes those teachings powerful and beautiful. The last thing they say about those teachings is, how can I love you if I don't first learn to love myself? How can I respect you if I don't even respect my own self? How can I tell you the truth if I'm not willing to tell myself the truth? So what they're saying is that those teachings always have to start from within. The last 7 strands, they represent those 7 generations ahead of us. Our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, those children are yet to be born. Why are they important? What we do to her, Kimama Nanake, Mother Earth, is one day going to affect them. And it's up to us to look after her so that when it's their turn, that there's something left for them. I was sitting in a circle many years ago, and this elder, he asked, he said, let's imagine, he said, today on Mother Earth, he said, what if all the 4-leggeds, he said, all the winged ones, all the crawly ones, he said, what if they all died today? What would happen to us human beings? And the answer is pretty obvious, that we too would probably eventually die. And then he asked, he said, well, let's imagine, he said, on Mother Earth today, he said, what if all the grasses, the weeds, the flowers, and all the trees, he said, what if they all died? What would happen to us human beings? And again, the answer is pretty obvious that we too would die. And then he asked, he said, what if all the lakes, the ponds, the creeks, the rivers, the oceans, and everything that lives in those ones, what if they all died today? What would happen to us human beings? And again, the answer is very obvious that we too would die. And then he asked, he said, well, let's imagine, he said, let's imagine for a moment, he said, what if all the human beings, just like that, he said, what if they all died today? What would happen? Nothing. Nothing would happen. In fact, Mother Earth would probably get healthier again. But what that teaching teaches us is that it's us that needs her. She doesn't need us, but we need her. And that's why we're supposed to look after her, so that there's something left for them when it's their turn. That circle that's around me today, is that the same circle I want to pass on to them? Especially if my circle involves alcohol abuse, drug abuse, family violence, lying, stealing, cheating, is that what I want to pass on to them? And sometimes it's going to be up to us to break some of those cycles and hopefully to replace them with something better. But anyways, that's what those last 7 strands represent, is those 7 generations ahead of us. We bring those braids together and we make this one braid. And those represent yesterday, today, tomorrow, mind, body, and spirit, man, woman, and child, sometimes man, woman, creator. But anyways, I just wanted to share that when my son was born, I made my son a promise. And I promised my son that we wouldn't cut his hair till he was 7. So we did that 10 years ago. My son is 17 today. I cut my hair same time as well. But when my boy, when he was 4 years old, he knew this teaching already. Because every morning as I'd get him ready for daycare, I would take time and I would braid his hair. And as I'd be braiding his hair, I would ask him, his name is Misko. I'd say, Misko, what does your braid represent, my boy? Sweetgrass? Oh, that's good, my boy. What does sweetgrass represent, my boy? Kindness, he'd say. Oh, that's good. And what does each of these 3 braids represent? He said, my mind, yeah. My body, yeah. What's the 3rd one? Oh, my spirit, he'd say. Oh, that's good, my boy. What are you going to do today at daycare, Misko? He said, Dad, I can be kind to my mind. Oh, that's good. He said, Dad, I can also be kind to my body. Oh, that's good, my boy. What else can you do? He said, Dad, I can also be kind to my spirit. Oh, that's good, Misko. What's going to happen if you do that, my boy? He said, Dad, I'll be strong. Yeah? And that's that second teaching that comes with this medicine. It's through our kindness that we're most strong. Anybody can put their fist at somebody else and threaten them in whatever way. Anybody else can use their words to put somebody down and to hurt them. But when we have somebody in our face trying to hurt us, trying to put us down in that, and to still respect that person, to still love that person, to still be kind to that person, can sometimes take a lot of strength. But that's what this medicine teaches us. It's through our kindness that we're most strong. The last teaching that comes is all of life is intertwined within this braid, in the sense in that our whole journey is written within this braid as well. And it begins over here with what we don't see, and that's those roots of this braid in that. And in that sense, we all too have those roots in that, on our mother's side, on our father's side, and the communities from which we all come. And one of the roles or the responsibilities we all have as parents, as grandparents, aunties, uncles, is to show those little ones who they're related to, where it is their roots are. Our whole childhood is written within this braid, our adolescence, our adulthood, and into elderhood, all written within this braid as well too, in that they tell us. So I wanted to share this teaching with you again, with the hope in that as we go through this challenging time today, that we take that time out of our way, that we go out of our way to be kind to others, and to show and demonstrate that kindness, because that's what will keep all of us strong. So that's why I wanted to share this teaching today. So with that, I just want to say again, Chimi Igwech, for taking that time to come and sit with us, and hopefully this is helpful to you in some way or another. Miigwech, miigwech, miigwech.